take a minute and just sense those words. A lot about presence, focused, quiet, awareness, insightful, internal presence, meditation. Head where your feet are. Yeah. So that question sort of popped into my mind a little bit earlier, particularly as we're coming into this season of light. For those on the West Coast and probably in the South, that's been here for a long time. But for those of us in the East, it's only a couple of weeks that we've really kind of landed in this time where the earth is awakening and renewing itself and coming alive. So, yeah, so as we take a few minutes to sort of settle in, find that position that allows you to be both comfortable and alert at the same time. And whatever the word was that came to you, include that in your sense of posturing yourself, how your physical body is wanting to embody that during this time. So find a posture that allows you to remain in that sense of mindfulness, in that state throughout the period of time that we're here together. So being present is one of the ways that we bring ourselves into this moment. But there's another word that didn't pop up in there, which is to be mindful is to be awake. And not just awake in the sense of being in the awareness that's not unconscious and dreaming, but to really be curious and alert to what's here when we're allowing everything to be exactly as it is. And part of that is that when we open to the idea of being awake and allowing everything to be exactly as it is, that doesn't mean that we just stop. It means that our whole being is moving in a certain way internally with the movement of everything that's around us and flowing through us. We're just not manipulating it to make it be a certain way. We're joining it. We're joining life. We're fully engaging with this presence that we've been sort of bringing more attention to, the space that's around us that is also awake. and alive. Nature that's very close to us in proximity, physically, that's in the same way. It's awake, it's alive, but it's not manipulating itself in any way to be anything other than it is. So sometimes when we think of allowing everything to be exactly as it is, there's this sense that we need to hold ourselves in some way, and that's not true. We're relaxing and opening. We're breathing. And the in-breath and the out-breath that flows into and out of our physical body is a form of communication and exchange. It's a kind of reciprocity. So we're not sitting here alone. We're actually engaging and interacting just through our presence with life. And not even just life on this planet, but this aliveness that is present in this moment, not connected to our stories, is engaging and interacting, sharing itself with everything. As we exhale, the molecules of air are leaving this form of consciousness that's me and beginning to travel through the airways to places that we can't even imagine. So we're sharing ourselves. This very breath that we've come to feel somewhat fearful of during these times is actually something amazing. There's a limited number of air molecules that are always being shared, and those molecules have consciousness within them. Your experience is part of them. What's awakening in you as it meets what they travel through next becomes part of that. What's awakening and moving through someone else is becoming part of you in this moment. So it's a kind of beautiful way of opening and experiencing in a very real way what awakening the collective is about, and why what we are bringing our own awareness to has a profound influence on all life. It's not something to feel some great responsibility around or to have any judgment about. It's just the simple awareness that our presence, which has nothing to do with the story of our life, but includes it. But our presence is sharing itself naturally. The more that we open in this way, the more we create the conditions of unfolding. So being is arising in us. moment to moment, out of the mystery. And as it moves through us, and we open to receive whatever the consciousness is that's arriving in our location. We're unfolding. So in the Quechua tradition that some of us have received teachings from in Peru, the most basic foundation of that tradition is something they call Ayni, A-Y-N-I, which means reciprocity. It's to be in this awareness that we're always giving and receiving, and that the receiving is as important as the giving, which means the more we can not manipulate our inner world or our outer world, the more we can relax into this presence, allowing everything to be exactly as it is. The more we can be in that state of childlike wonder. With a kind of expectancy of the alertness of being awake means, what's going to happen now? Who am I now? So a lot of our work initially is about questioning whether we are this person bounded by the moment of birth and death, whether we're defined by the story of our life, whether we are the self-images that we've come to know ourselves as, who and what we take ourselves to be, or are we something else that's in a constant state of arising? If we look closely enough, carefully enough, we can see that the majority of our suffering comes from our identification with and our either rejection of or pulling to be a certain something, a certain way, pulling for life to meet us in certain ways. That if it's pleasurable, if it feels consistent with our desires, then we feel like we're held in the goodness of being. But that's the child part of us. That's the way a child meets the world. A child wants what it wants, and it wants it now. The adult part of us can understand as we get back and give ourselves a broader view of ourselves and our life. The life is in a constant state of change. That the action of being itself is self-revelation. It's revealing itself moment to moment as this moment and whatever is occurring in this moment. So we have our individual journey. But we also have a collective journey. And when we come together in this way, whatever is wanting to reveal itself is contained within the field of energy, of presence that we are all seated in. So that's something that we can never know ahead of time. What is being bringing to us tonight? What is it revealing to us tonight? And we can visualize or imagine all of us sitting in a circle. And within this circle, we can feel into the presence that's here. Slightly different than the presence that's just in your room or your home. So there's a presence that's here in our collective. It's both a presence within the circle, it's also a presence within us. So this gives us the freedom to let go of thinking about what's happening and to just sense there's something bigger that we're all sharing. That's sacred medicine. And because it's sacred medicine and it's something we're all sharing, we ask permission to be together in this way, to do this work on this beautiful planet that in her own way seems to be enjoying this time of rest from human interactions, the cleansing of the airs, the cleansing of the waterways. So we ask her permission to do this work as a way of being in Aini, or reciprocity. At the same time, as we give this respect, we allow ourselves to open to the loving presence that is meeting us during this time. As all of the other creatures and the tree beings, the flowers, the plants, become more present, become more awake. And we can use our breath or the awareness of our breath to feel a sense of sharing in the same way with the trees, with the flowers, with the creatures. That we're not separate, there's not a hierarchy. We're all part of being, sharing this moment. And to our apus, the spirits of the mountains, and the rivers, the lakes, the oceans. We humble ourselves so that we might feel the assistance that they bring to us. Each moment is a ceremony. whether we're sitting intentionally in this way or whether we're just participating in life. So we want to be awake to the unfolding of this moment. We feel the sharing of our breath, and then we open our heart and allow whatever the quality is that we feel naturally arising in us, something that we would like to share, to flow out of our hearts and around the circle, passing from one heart to the next, weaving a beautiful tapestry of color, sound, of light. We breathe out. It's like a swinging door swinging outward with this beautiful, gentle, easy flow of presence extending out from us. As we breathe in, the door swings inward and we receive as effortlessly. And we may notice as we just do this gentle practice of giving and receiving, that perhaps it's easier to give, or perhaps it's easier to receive. So just take a few moments feeling this action of ini, of reciprocity. And allow this rhythm to begin to come into more of a balance. I tend to be somebody who gives more. Just allow more of the receiving. I'm somebody who finds it easier to receive. I allow the giving. Just like a wave in the ocean. It draws in, flows out. No two breaths the same. No two waves are ever the same. But the inflow and the outflow is always arising out of the ocean itself, as the ocean itself. Doesn't need any control, doesn't need direction. It's got an inherent wisdom, a harmony. Somehow perfectly weaves itself into the movements all around it. The ocean giving of itself and yielding as it receives. Remaining awake to just this simple movement of presence in whatever way you feel it within yourself. You might imagine yourself as a piece of seagrass at the bottom of the ocean, just being moved by the currents of the ocean. Not needing to hold any position, but allowing yourself to be moved by the currents of being, by the ocean of being. Allowing your own nervous system to be bathed in this flow, this fluidity. The origin of which is a mystery, and yet it's here, moving as us, through us, experiencing itself, expressing itself. Oh, and there's a freedom in that. For those of you who've practiced or studied yoga, the physical aspects of yoga, you can feel the relationship of what I'm talking about to what the practice opens us to. And we know if we've practiced yoga that whatever way we find ourselves being moved, whatever the postures are, they open us to a different aspect of ourselves. By allowing the movement, not controlling it, not trying to create a perfect form, but to yield into the form, awakens something in us. So imagine what it would be like to walk in the world, allowing yourself to be moved. To become more internally flexible and to actually be awake enough to feel the way your body might want to move as the forces of nature are touching you, the breezes, the winds, the warmth. The contact of your feet on the earth as you're walking. Mindfully present. Who am I? Is the question that we hold as we entertain the reality that we're unfolding in this time with the collective unfolding of humanity in this time. What's wanting to reveal itself here as us, as a we? Sense the power and the support that's present when we open to the sense of we, as opposed to just me. In the Native American traditions here in North America, this is sometimes explained as the medicine wheel, that each of the points on the wheel, wherever we happen to be sitting, we hold a certain essential quality for the rest of the wheel. They're whole, those who sit in the center of the child's innocence. There's the peacekeepers, the singers, the mediums, the war chiefs, the healers. Each point in the wheel, just as we're sitting in this wheel, is a certain aspect of being that together creates wholeness. And we don't always sit in the same position on the wheel. But together, there's a collective presence that's very powerful. So when we find ourselves in places where we're not fully awake, the wheel holds us, protects us. And there's both the quality that's arising in us individually, and there's a collective consciousness that is awakening. It's a totality. So what's present in our circle today is the exploration of that consciousness of awakeness. What is it that's always awake? We can feel into it, we can sense into it. Not just within our own body, but as we sense into the circle itself. There's something there. It's arising out of the wisdom of the mystery. It's here to be explored in whatever way it meets you. When I'm awake, there's a brightness that grows in me. There's a light that's at the heart of my being and the heart of the collective being. For some of us, we hold old conditioning that says that it's not okay to be that bright, that radiant. But if we entertain that principle of Aini, of reciprocity, then we open to allow the light within us to become as bright as it can. And we open to the collective light within our circle to become as bright as it wants to reveal itself, to awaken to itself. And that takes no effort. That light shines through the stories of our lives. It allows us to see how the story of our life has brought us to understand who we are and to be here now as we are. So we value it, but we allow it to actually burn through the constrictions in those stories, to revel in them, fully appreciate them, to digest them. But it wants more. Our hearts are always expanding into greater possibilities. Our heart wants more. There's nothing that we need to do. We allow everything to be exactly as it is. And we feel into this question, what does it mean to look towards and live as the one that is always awake? How does that impact me? How is it to have your being and the collective being filled with the presence of your divine nature? Nothing to earn, nothing that needs to be redeemed or waited for or discovered. It's here now to be filled with the presence of your divine nature, to let go of everything else. And to offer whatever it is that feels like it may be blocking you into the collective, to allow it to digest it, to allow it to metabolize it, to allow yourself to be held, to be part of what it is that heals. What it is that's always holding us. We look to the center of our circle. There's an inner flame, a central flame, that is the expression of this light. Can't contain itself. It naturally rises forth into the beautiful evening sky, cascading out in all directions. We gather in different parts of our planet here. This light is radiating everywhere. As some of you are beginning perhaps to return to your places of business, we see this light flowing out and raining down into this place of business, filling it. With your divine nature. Everything is unfolding. Everything is opening and awakening. and into this beautiful body of light, we invite the souls of friends and loved ones, or those who you're thinking about, who might be suffering and in need of the support, to be touched, that they might remember the deeper nature of themselves. So we come into this period of holding this healing energy. We also greet our ancestors who come and sit with us. We open to the radiance of the light beings, the masters in spirit, as they infuse and strengthen this diamond-like nature. And then coming back to your breath and your body, feel the sensation of your entire body from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, your legs, your arms, everything breathing. Allow yourself to move with little micro movements. You just open to the fluidity, the openness of being moving through you and as you. As much as we may have a concept of the outside of our body as being a boundary in space, there's no boundaries in consciousness. So we swim in this ocean of collective awakening with the loved ones and those who are suffering, those who may be dying. We listen with our inner ears for that song, that tone that calls all of us back to the source of ourselves, sweetly, lovingly. Each breath giving and receiving, breathing in the fragrance of the flowers, of the grasses, that are sharing their essence with us even in this moment. Feeling the impact as these healing vital energies of life become absorbed into the tissue of your body. It's only our thinking minds that cause us to block this out because we don't think of it or haven't been trained to experience these parts of ourselves, so we don't notice them. The richness of the soil, the coolness of the water, the freshness of the breeze, the warmth of the sun. Our bodies are made of these elements. They're tuned to them naturally. The bones in our body resonating, vibrating with the stones in the earth. And as we experience ourselves as the collective, we also then can turn back and come into ourselves again. Deepen. Feel, sense the lusciousness and the depth of your own divine nature. Here in this exquisite point of life and light that is you as the mystery unfolding in this moment. Free of self-images, free of concepts, deepening, breathing, feeling, sensing. The soul itself is completely malleable. It's in a constant state, naturally, of impressionability. We know this from watching infants. They're in a constant state of giving and receiving, completely impressionable. Drinking in all of the currents of the universe. Different qualities coming from different places. Touching them, forming us. So our journey is to become that childlike, open soul again. To be in a constant state of being formed by the consciousness that is being directed to us and through us. As we come into these last few minutes together, just allow yourself to really feel that sense of what it is in you that is always awake, that wants to be awake. Wouldn't consider anything else. And in this state of awake presence, of aliveness, we meet again and acknowledge again our Pachamama, our Mother Earth, and for all that she gives us. It allows us to be here, to be us, to be participating. We say thank you. to our ancestors who sit with us, support us, who have paved the pathways that have brought us to be here together tonight in this way. We say thank you. To all of our teachers, our guides, here in form and those who have passed on, for their dedication, their service, their generosity, we say thank you. As we look to each other as this circle and the many circles that we're part of, we can acknowledge and appreciate the fact that as the many are unfolding is much more powerful than just as ourselves. So for the generosity of spirit that brings us to be here together in this way, both to awaken ourselves, to deepen our understanding, but also as a form of generosity, as a form of service to each other and to ourselves, we say thank you. And as we turn inward to this incredible mystery that is you, just beginning to discover who we each truly are, as we open to the revelation of the mystery within us, as us, for the courage to walk this human path at this time of transformation. We say thank you. Oh,